Thomas Edison, the rights and responsibilities of inventors in history. Our presentation is set in the afterlife. It's 1943, 12 years after Edison has died, when Nikola Tesla joins him. Thomas Edison, is that you?
Welcome to the afterlife, Tesla. This is where I've been for the past 12 years. How's life? Oh, wait. Sorry. Was.
If this is the afterlife, you must be here to ask for my forgiveness.
Your forgiveness? You should be begging and pleading for mine.
What, like forgiveness for the fact that I was too proud to keep working with you after you refused to pay me my $50,000?
That's not what happened.
Have you already forgotten?
I'll tell you what I remember. Listen. In 1884, I was approached by a young Serbian immigrant named Nikola Tesla, who worked for me at the time. He told me that he had redesigned the dynamos for my light bulbs and offered to sell them to me. I was interested until he told me he expected $50,000. I jokingly refused.
Right, and that's what you think happened.
I know it is.
No, this is what actually happened. Mr. Edison offered to pay me $50,000 to redesign his light bulb dynamos. I agreed, of course. About a year later, after I'd finished them, I went to him to ask when I could claim the money he had offered me. His response?
Oh, Tesla, you don't understand our American humor.
That's what happened. So, anyway, let's get back to the matter at hand, shall we? My forgiveness.
I can't ask for your forgiveness. I'm never wrong.
X-rays! X-rays!
That was a flaw in judgment.
Call it what you want, you still killed that lab assistant. Remember, in 1896?
Oh, joy! Look, X-rays. I bet they'll be great for your eyes. Let's see how well that works out.
No, dangerous. Very, very dangerous.
Well, you never know. It could be a little bit dangerous. I'll wear protective glasses. I'll be completely safe.
Edison, for once in your life, will you listen to—
Also, my assistants can place their hands in front of the fluoroscope, my X-ray device, so that you can see their bones. Just ignore the painful rashes they get.
I refuse to use human subjects, and I would suggest that you do the same. But he completely ignored his responsibilities of safety as an inventor, nearly blinded himself, and gave his assistant, Clarence Daly, terminal cancer, which Daly died of 8 years later after losing both his arms. Later, in a press interview, Edison was quoted as saying,
"Do not talk to me about X-rays. I am afraid of them."
So tell me, Mr. Edison, was there anything good that came out of this?
Actually, yes. It led to the development of the clinical X-ray machine and showed the dangers of the X-rays.
That's actually true. Anyway, while we're on the subject of electrical things, let's talk about the fact that alternating current is obviously so much better than direct current.
Oh, for heaven's sake. Nicola, we've been over this. America wasn't ready for alternating current. They were perfectly satisfied with my direct current systems.
No they weren't. Remember the Chicago World's Fair, 1893? It was powered by my alternating current systems?
Yeah. Well, remember the light bulb I invented?
No, you invented the correct filament for the light bulb. Working light bulbs had been invented before Thomas Edison, contrary to popular belief. However, these bulbs used a platinum filament, which was very expensive and lasted for only a short period of time. Edison used a number of different filaments in his initial tests before settling on carbonized bamboo, admittedly useful, but much better when used with AC.
Oh, so now we're talking about the war of the currents, are we?
Well, we might as well get it all out in the open.
Like how you spouted your drivel about AC everywhere you went?
At least it was true, which is more than I could say about your immoral business practices.
Immoral? How?
Funnily enough, around Edison's lab in West Orange, New Jersey, pets started disappearing.
I'll pay anyone who brings me a live cat or dog 25 cents per animal.
Edison required these for his demonstrations on how AC was dangerous. He also hired Harold Brown, who introduced himself as a professor, though he wasn't, to help him. He then proceeded to run alternating current through a metal plate on which the animal was placed.
And watch what happens as this perfectly healthy animal
And that's quite enough of that.
I fail to see how this is immoral. People brought me animals. I didn't know they were stolen.
This is a perfect example of how you abused your rights, like the right to free speech, to spread slander that AC was dangerous.
The animals died when they were electrocuted, didn't they?
If the blade had DC running through it, would they have died?
Well, yes.
You played dirty tricks like that on me and the other people who supported alternating current, like George Westinghouse, throughout the War of the Currents.
What else did I do?
Well, let's see if I can remember this correctly. I believe it was 1888. to have an inmate who was sentenced to death be electrocuted with AC. The method of using AC to kill later became known as Westinghousing. The worst part? When they used AC, they didn't use it well. The prisoner didn't die the first time and had to be shocked again, leading to a rather nasty spectacle.
Is this really the current you want to use to power your homes?
Again, all completely circumstantial, but was Mr. Edison satisfied? Oh no. In 1902, he also electrocuted a circus elephant, Topsy, to prove that AC could kill even larger creatures. However, despite all of these interruptions, Westinghouse and I still won the war of current by powering the aforementioned World's Fair with alternating current. So, many cats and dogs, an elephant, and a human being were killed, and Edison still got nowhere. Which begs the question, why did he protest against AC?
No comments, please.
Because he didn't want DC to be replaced with AC. That would mean he would lose his royalties. In other words, he ignored his responsibilities, abused his rights, and killed to keep getting paid.
Okay, so maybe it was a little bit immoral, but you had a pigeon, and you thought it had eyes that shot gamma rays.
She did not have eyes that shot gamma rays. They were powerful beams of light.
Never. Either way, it suggests that you're insane.
How dare you? I most certainly am not insane.
You can't even eat food without calculating its cubic volume. You're obsessed with the number 3. Plus, you're a germaphobe, and you went through a period of time when you said your senses were so enhanced that a moth coughing would give you headaches.
Actually, it was a train going by, but yeah, basically. And while we're on the subject, let me tell you why you could be declared insane, Tom.
You've got nothing on me.
Don't I? You went to school for 3 months, after which your mother pulled you because your school teacher said you were strange, adult, and dull. You built your first lab on a train, which you set fire to after, what, 6 months? Plus, you were nearly deaf by the age of 14.
Sorry?
Finally, you proposed marriage to your second wife through Morse code. I mean, what's not insane about that?
Mina thought it was sweet.
Whatever.
Hey, you can't judge me on marriage proposals. You were never even married.
It would have gotten in the way of my work.
Well, maybe if you had had a wife, she would have talked you out of making that foolish decision to spend millions of dollars on the first hydroelectric plant at Niagara Falls.
I thought the people had the right to free electricity. And besides, I had to give my royalties to Westinghouse.
You didn't have to. Why did you?
Westinghouse offered me a generous royalty of $2.50 on each horsepower of AC sold. However, after years of fighting with Edison and his million-dollar financer, J.P. Morgan, Westinghouse began to run into financial difficulties. He came to me to ask if he could renegotiate our contract. I tore it up, relinquishing all of my royalties.
Yes, but why?
Because Westinghouse believed in me when others did not.
That was a very decent thing to do.
Well, I suppose you did keep Dally on your payroll for 8 years, even though he couldn't work.
I mean, I felt like I owed it to him after he lost both of his arms because of me.
Yeah, and you didn't always steal other inventors' ideas. Like, you really did invent the phonograph.
Look, Tesla, I probably do owe you an apology.
Yeah, you really do.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
So, should we shake on it?
I can't do this when you're like that.
Like what? Can we get to it? Partners?
Partners.
How did you come to choose this path?
Well, I had heard a little bit about like a feud between Tesla and Edison, and I had heard, Tesla was more in the right, which I was kind of confused about, since not a lot of people have heard about Tesla as much as they have Edison. So I looked it up, and it was really kind of interesting, and so I was talking to her about it, and we thought, we both like acting, and we would do a performance about it.
And we thought it would be really easy to connect to rights and responsibilities because, Edison is abusing his rights and as an inventor, blinding himself and giving people cancer and
Little things like that.
Little things. And responsibilities of actually, telling the truth rather than just, he was spreading slander and telling blatant lies about AC, and so we thought it would be a good thing to sort of tell about.
You both seem very comfortable in your
parts? How did you choose who was coming into play?
Well, basically, I told her about the 2 parts, and she goes, "I want to be Edison." I'm like, okay. I mean, it's.
You said, okay, this is what actually happened. Okay, so she said, okay, so there are these 2 people. Edison was wrong, and Tesla was right. I want to be the guy who was mean to everybody. And I was like, okay, sure.
I think I wanted to be the evil character. It's more fun to play them.
What amazing or interesting fact did you really learn about the situation and about Edison in particular?
Well, I know that I was surprised that, like, he didn't invent the light bulb, because everyone was always like, oh yeah, Thomas Edison invented the light bulb. But it turns out that he was just the one who kind of made it usable. He figured out how to sell the light bulb, not really how to, get a light bulb.
I thought the most interesting or shocking fact, as it were, was that he electrocuted animals to try to prove that AC was dangerous and that people actually bought it. Like they never thought if the plate had DC running through it, would they have died? And so, like that's something Tesla would say. So I was very.
You would think they would notice that, if you're killing innocent animals, they would think.
And your sources in your research, what did you find to be the most important sources?
We found this. Call it so autobiographical, not really a book, but it's an article that Tesla wrote called "Some Personal Recollections," and it was about his feud with Edison, and it was very helpful in figuring
Also,
out
like, his childhood and stuff. So that, like, it had facts on, like, AC and stuff, which were helpful, but it also had, like, stuff that helped us, like, know the character.